Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Telikilaas Business Studies Grade 9. Today I am going to teach a topic on organization and management. This is a section 2 topic, which is people in business. Previously you have studied motivating employees and part of organization and management. Previously you have studied part of 2.2.1 and today I will be discussing the rest of the content in 2.2.1 and 2.2.2. First, let's look at what you have learned before. You have already learned simple hierarchical structures, span of control, levels of hierarchy, and chain of command. Today, I will be looking at the roles and responsibilities of directors, managers, supervisors, and other employees in an organization and interrelationship between them, and delayering as well as centralized versus decentralized organization. By the end of this lesson, you will be successful if you are able to identify and explain roles and responsibilities of directors, managers, supervisors, and other employees in an organization. You need to tell them separately. Next, you should be able to define delayering and outline its advantages and disadvantages. And also you should be able to differentiate between a centralized organization and a decentralized. Let's look at the individuals or people in an organization. In different organizations, the leaders or the people who are at the top levels may be named differently, like directors, managers, CEOs, managing directors, supervisors, assistant managers, and so on. In a school, you may see principal or as the head of school, and below the principal, deputy principals, leading teachers, and even other support staff and admin staff as well. So let's look at each of these individuals. Directors are appointed or elected members of the board of directors of a company who have the responsibility for determining and implementing the company's policy. So these are people who formulate policy and who shows direction of how the company should be working. The managers are in charges of certain group of tasks or certain area or department of a business and responsible for day-to-day running of the business or organization. There could be managers with different names, department managers, unit managers, or line managers in different companies, different names. And next is supervisors. Supervisors are junior managers who have direct control over the employees below them in the organization structure. And other employees might include factory workers, shop floor workers, assistant, and so on. Now look at the responsibilities of each of these individuals. Let's discuss about the directors. One of the main responsibilities of directors is setting strategy. That is about the long-term planning of the business. Directors also make sure resources are available in the business. And the third responsibility, reviewing performance of managers, protecting interest of shareholders and other stakeholders, providing leadership to ensure success of the business, and CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, has overall responsibility for day-to-day management and implementing decisions. Why I have put CEO under the directors is because usually CEOs are also members of the board of directors. Some companies may have managing directors instead. Now let's look at the responsibility of managers. Managers make sure decisions of directors are carried out. Managers delegate tasks to department members if the manager is specialized or if the manager is a department manager. Managers take decisions to reach the departmental targets. They motivate employees in the department and they solve day-to-day problems that arise within the department. Supervisors work below the managers, and supervisors give out tasks to employees. They make sure they carry out the tasks and they check the quality of the work, whether it meets the standards set by the organization. Other employees work below the supervisors and they must work together with their manager to complete tasks efficiently and at the required quality. They also work towards achieving individual, group or departmental targets. Each of these employees' role is important for the success of organization. Each person is connected with the other employee. So if the business want to be successful, each individual in the business should do their part. And when doing so, sometimes when businesses form organization structure, they may have too many layers of management. And then businesses might decide to reduce some of the levels of management. For that we call delayering. Delayering is the process of reducing the number of levels in the hierarchy of employees in an organization. Delayering usually involves cutting out middle management like department heads or unit heads and so on. If you look at this diagram, as you can see, there are 4 levels here, and one of the levels from the top, that is the second top level of management, is removed here. And if you compare before and after the process of delayering has taken place, before there are area managers and supervisors in the hierarchy, but after cutting off those 2 levels, now regional manager, shop manager and shop staff are remaining. So 2 levels of management are being cut here. Let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of delayering. One of the advantages, it will reduces cost, as managers are usually paid a high salary or wage, no longer has to be paid once those levels are being cut down. It reduces the chain of command, so communication and decision making should be quicker and more effective. The messages need to go through fewer levels now. Wider span of control increase the opportunity for delegation. So there will be opportunity for people who work below them to do some of the tasks which is being done by the manager. Senior managers are in closer touch with what is happening in the business. So they know what their subordinates are doing exactly, or how they are dealing with their customers, and so on. The disadvantages are increased workload for managers who remain. Delayering doesn't mean cutting down of all the levels of management. Still there will be some levels of managers. So for those who are able to survive, or those who stay in the business will have a higher workload. Business may have to make redundancy payments to managers who lose their jobs. Again, but this is a one-off cost, one-time payment. Employees who remain might fear redundancy, and this reduces their job security. Wider span of control after delayering might reduce the effective management of subordinates. It will be difficult for one person to look after the work of so many people. So some of the workers might get lazy, and due to which they know that their work is not being monitored, they sometimes become a little lazy. Centralized organization versus decentralized organization. One of the most important issues a business needs to deal with is who makes the decisions. Do senior managers at the center of the organization make all the decisions? Or is some of this authority for decision making delegated to lower level managers? This decision involves making a choice between being a centralized organization or a decentralized organization. Now let's look at what a centralized and decentralized organization is. A centralized organization is one where decision-making power is held at the top by senior managers and then passed down to lower levels in the hierarchy through the chain of command. Many international franchise companies operate a mainly centralized organization structure. They do this to make sure that they control what each franchise outlet offers to customers. Some of the fast food chains operate in this way. They need to make sure that customers receive the same level of service and quality products in every one of its outlets. In a decentralized organization, the authority to make some decision is delegated to lower levels in the hierarchy. Or in the case of a business with several production facilities or operating in different locations, to managers within those areas. An example of a business that may have a decentralized structure is a national hotel chain. Although the company directors are based in the head office of one country, its managers may be in other locations, other countries as well. And those managers are allowed to make decisions to run their business. Now let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of centralized and decentralized organization. Centralized and decentralized organizations have a number of advantages and disadvantages. Some of the most important of these are given in this table. Centralized organization has advantages such as decision making is often quicker. Decisions are taken for the benefit of the whole business, and greater use of specialist staff improves decision making. So those who are specialized in decision making are being consulted before any decision is being taken. The disadvantages of a centralized organization are slower communication and unable to respond quickly to changes in local markets, and may reduce employee motivation, as the employees are always required to consult their head office or their superiors before any decision is taken. They lose their motivation. They might feel that they are not being trusted, and they need to ask their superiors all the time. On the other hand, decentralized organization has advantages such as decisions are made based on the local needs. They know what is best for the local needs. Another advantage of decentralized organization is this organization can be used to train junior managers. And delegation helps to improve employee motivation. Those employees who would like to try new things, they get opportunity to do so. Now let's look at the disadvantages of decentralized organization. Decision taken might not be in the interest of the whole business, but rather it might be for the interest of particular area or particular regional office or regional branch of that particular business. Poor decisions might be made because managers lack skills and experience in taking decisions. So if they consult with their superiors, they will be sure of the decision that they have taken is right. Let's have a quick summary of what we have discussed so far. People in an organization have different roles and responsibilities based on hierarchy. And delayering is the process of reducing the number of levels in the hierarchy of employees in an organization. And a centralized organization is one where decision-making power is held at the top. But in a decentralized organization, the authority to make some decisions is delegated to lower levels. Now let's go ahead with the second part of today's lesson, which is about the role of management. Under this part, mainly we will be discussing about the functions of management and the importance of delegation. You will be successful if you are able to identify and explain 5 functions of management. If you are able to define delegation and outline advantages of delegation to managers and subordinates separately, and outline the reasons why a manager not delegate. First of all, let's look at the functions of management. As you can see on this diagram, 5 functions of management, which are planning, organizing, coordinating, commanding, and controlling. Let's look at each of these functions separately. Planning. Planning involves setting aims or targets, or the direction in which the organization needs to be steered. It also gives the organization a sense of direction or purpose. It also helps the managers to decide on the resources which will be needed. A poor manager does not plan for the future at all. Therefore, good managers do a lot of preparation and planning for the future of the business. Now let's look at the second function, which is organizing function. An effective manager will organize people and resources very carefully indeed. A manager cannot do each and every task, each and everything in the business. That's the reason why they need employees, isn't it? Tasks must be dedicated to others in the organization. Some of the authority to do certain tasks will be passed to lower level staff. An organization chart, therefore, is formulated to show who has the authority to do different jobs in the business. So this function gives an idea for the people in an organization of what they can do and what they are not supposed to be doing. Another function of management is coordination. Coordinating means bringing together, which might be the resources or the people which need to successfully complete a task. Forming teams from different departments might be required, conduct regular meetings between people, and formulate project teams, for example, to launch new products. A good manager therefore makes sure that all departments in the organization work together to achieve the plans originally set by the manager. Commanding is another function. Many people think that this is all managers do, telling people what to do and what not to do. In reality, managers not only tell people what to do, they also guide, lead, and supervise people. Managers have to ensure supervisors and workers are keeping to targets and deadlines. Therefore, instructions and guidance must be provided and ensure subordinates are carrying out their assigned tasks. It will be wise not to wait for the last minute. Out of the 5 functions I have mentioned, the 5th function here is controlling. This is a continuous task. This is a never-ending task of management. This is the function of management where they measure and evaluate the work of all individuals and groups. It is important to find out who are being effective or who are inefficient in performing tasks. There is little point in planning and organizing if they fail to check that the original aims are being met. Managers are required to find out why targets are not being met and then to correct the problem or take corrective action against inefficient workers. Now let's look at the importance of having good managers. The reasons for having good managers is because they motivate employees. They give guidance and advice to employees they manage, and they inspire employees they manage to achieve more than they thought possible. They manage resources effectively and keep costs under control. And definitely, good managers increase profitability of the business. In this process, managers assign some of the tasks to their subordinates. That's where delegation comes. Here you will learn about the definition of delegation, advantages of delegation for the manager and for the subordinate, and why might a manager not delegate. Delegation means giving a subordinate the authority to perform particular tasks. Before assigning a particular task, an employee is not supposed to do the task which is done by his manager. Even though the authority is passed to perform particular tasks, the final responsibility still lies with the manager. So if job is wrongly done or if the employee fails to do the work as required, manager has to accept responsibility. So it is manager's job to ensure that the delegated or the assigned work is being completed on time. Now, the advantages of delegation for the manager. Manager can concentrate his time on other important management functions, which he thinks he must be done. Less likely to make mistake if another person is involved in doing tasks. And it gives an opportunity for the manager to measure the success of their staff more easily. The advantages of delegation for the subordinate includes the work becomes more interesting and rewarding. Those works which he has not done before are being allowed to do it now. The employee feels more important and believes trusted, and that could be the reason why the manager has assigned the task for him. And it helps to train workers, give them career opportunities. So those employees who are doing these tasks get the opportunity to move to higher positions in the future. Why a manager not delegate? Or why a manager might be reluctant to delegate? One reason is the subordinate might fail to do as and when it is required. Another reason is the manager want to control everything by themselves. And the third reason, there is a risk that the subordinate might do a better job than the manager. And manager feel very insecure and they might feel that they might lose their position for the subordinate who has done the work very well. There needs to be an increase in trust in order to reduce control over workers. Therefore, delegation must mean that increase in trust of workers by supervisors and managers, and it also means that a reduction in direct control by supervisors and managers once tasks are done by workers. So trust and control goes in opposite direction. The more trust is being put by a manager to an employee, it requires less direct control while they are performing tasks. Now let's have a quick summary of this part of today's lesson. As I mentioned before, there are 5 main functions of management, which is planning, organizing, coordinating, commanding, and control. Delegation gives authority to others to take decisions and perform tasks. It gives an opportunity for employee development, which increases job satisfaction. Delegation allows managers to give time to other important issues that has to be addressed. Managers lose some control over subordinates, and this is one of the reasons why managers are reluctant to delegate. Some managers are reluctant to delegate, and subordinates feel trusted if no training is given, but still they are being assigned tasks. Delegation makes work more interesting. And from there we will stop today's lesson. I hope you all have understood what I have taught today. Thank you.